Okay, so we're here checking out the new Trailhunter, and then they've got the, I believe it's the SR5 sitting over here as well. But this is the extended cab, because now you can only get the Tacoma in an extended cab if you want to get a four-wheel drive Tacoma, basically. So TRD Off-Road, the TRD Pro, and the TRD Trailhunter are only a double cab. So you got to choose either between the short bed or the long bed, and here they have the long bed. So we're walking around this thing and checking out all the new features. So they're saying that this is going to come with a 33-inch tire, but from what I'm seeing right here, it's actually like the standard size that Tacomas have always come with, the 265. So we'll see what they do with that in the future, but supposedly it is going to come with a 33, which means that they're probably going to be able to fit a 35, and then that'll mean that everybody else figures out how to make it fit a 37, hopefully. But from some information that I got from Toyota over here, it does have the same ring gear size as the past generation Tacoma, which I'm not sure about, because this has 165 pound-feet more torque, if I'm thinking about the numbers correctly. And so we'll go up and take a look around this thing, because I'm trying to decide if the Trailhunter is actually beneficial for a lot of us, or if it's really just designed as an off-the-lot vehicle for some people. But I think if you want to modify one, the TRD Off-Road is probably still going to be the best bet. It's got billet upper control arms in here, and then it's also got an Old Man Emu BP51 type of a shock system, but this one doesn't even have a piggyback, so it's not like a remote reservoir that I'm seeing. So while it's got a good suspension setup, most people are probably going to swap that out. So I think really for those of you that are looking to buy a Tacoma and modify it, this probably isn't the best one. And the main advantage, though, is I was told that the Trailhunter has a 1,700 pound payload, which is equivalent to like the Defenders, which is pretty good compared to what Tacoma has been, because Tacoma has been like 1,100 pounds in the past, and it's been one of my biggest complaints about these things. But yeah, so your sway bar disconnect, you have like a motor right here that seems to disconnect, and it will allow a little bit more travel. We'll see how those hold up over time. Maybe it'll hold up, hopefully. We're not allowed to see the inside of it right now because it's raining, so they have everything locked up and it got fogged up, so we can't see anything inside right now. I did find out that the hood scoop on the TRD Pros is not a real hood scoop, unfortunately, and the teardrops underneath the headlights are not real. Like the Tundras, that's for cooling, and I was hoping the hood scoop would be functional for the turbocharged engine. It's not, nor is it for the hybrid. But it is front and rear disc brakes, as we saw in some of the other videos. And so Toyota is saying that they put an upgraded braking system on the upgraded models for the TRD Pro, the TRD Off-Road, and the TRD, or the Trailhunter, not the TRD Trailhunter, but the Trailhunter got an upgraded brake package in the front as well. This does come with an 18-inch tire, or an 18-inch wheel, which is kind of confusing. You'd think they'd want to put a smaller wheel on the off-road ones, but it is what it is. And this is still prototype, so some of the stuff is still going to change. So something I'm not a total fan of is the technology packages are great, but this thing has a ton of cameras, which is cool because on the trail you can see stuff, but if you ever mess up your mirror, now you're gonna have a $1,000 mirror that you gotta replace probably. The bed back here has scene lights. This is for like camping under the awning and stuff. That'll help light up all that. I think that you're pretty much gonna be buying both the roof rack and the chase rack, whether you want it or not, on the Trailhunter. The rock rails are frame mounted, which is, they have to be. And then on the rear, we do have the coil suspension, as we all knew, but over here on the SR5, this is a leaf spring suspension. These are only available in two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, but it does have a rear locker. This is basically for companies that need like a delivery truck, so Toyota didn't leave them out, but you can't get these in four-wheel drive, and the access cab no longer even opens. So pretty much every Tacoma you see on the trail now is gonna be a double cab. And this does look like, I took a measurement with my phone, with my iPhone's measurement app, so I don't know how accurate it's gonna be, but I got a 12-foot, or a 12-foot wheelbase on this one, and then this should be the length of the double cab short bed, and that was 11 feet. So it's quite a wheelbase. I'm gonna have to look up the numbers and see how that stacks up against the previous generation Tacoma, because I'm not sure on that actually. ARB's high tuck bumper that they got going on here with tow hooks, you know, good for them that they finally did that, but I don't know. I feel like C4 Fabrication's probably going to come up with another system that might be even more high clearance, because the way they designed this here looks like it's designed to come off, and so I'm sure somebody's going to come up with something that's even more high clearance than that. So this does have a 2400 watt inverter for the hybrid models. It's basically going to be drawing off of the battery system, and that is in here. somewhere. But I was asking Toyota about the wading depth on these, but he didn't have a clear answer on that. I'm sure it's gonna have a decent wading depth, but it does add a little bit of concern whenever you're going through like a deep river like we just did in Arkansas, and you have, I think it's 266 volts underneath you. So I'm curious how they work around that, because they know people are gonna drive these through water. And then, let's see what else. I wish we could see on the inside. This side's kind of defogged a little bit. So it does have a 14-inch screen, which is just monstrous. So I did find out that the speaker in there, this is kind of a cool thing that Toyota did, because I thought the speaker was a huge gimmick, but what they did is you can pull that out and they're gonna supply the dimensions for having custom things 3D printed for that space. For myself, like I'll do GoPro mounts and stuff like that. So it'll have a power source in there, which I do think is pretty cool. The snorkel here, this is part of the Trailhunter package, obviously. I wish this did have an option for like a top hat, like a pre-filter, because those have come in handy, quite handy for us. And then the iForce Max is 465 pound-feet of torque and 326 horsepower, as I already covered a couple months ago. So this thing does have skid plates on it, but these skid plates, from my opinion, like I would destroy these things, especially with like how much of a payload this has. If you had this thing fully loaded down, I'm already convinced that these skid plates are not gonna hold up to rock bashing. So I think the TRD off-road is probably gonna be the model a lot of people are gonna wanna go with. I understand what they're doing here. This is a beautiful truck, but for somebody like myself that's gonna really load this thing up and take it into places, I'm not sure that a lot of this stuff is necessary, and it's gonna need to get replaced. The truck is 3 inches wider total, which can be good and bad, because on tight trails and stuff, there's gonna be a little bit more to worry about, but it looks like it's kind of like a Jeep, to where that 3 inches is actually mostly on the fenders. And so I think it's just the wheel width is 3 inches more, and it's not the actual truck itself. So, okay, so, and then on the front end here, we got the front camera, which is pretty nice, especially with how long of a hood, because Tacomas are notoriously bad about being able to see over the hood. And then the sensors for the cruise control is down here now, which I'm not sure why they moved that. Maybe that's gonna be easier to integrate into aftermarket bumpers or something like that. And then from what I've seen, I haven't gotten a chance to sit in this thing yet, but they are saying that this does have a proper truck seating position in it now. And they don't have the TRD Pro here, but on the TRD Pro, I'm sure a lot of you have already seen, there's like basically 4 shocks built into the seat now for the high speed runs. That truck is not, my interest is not in that truck. It looks awesome, but not for my use. I do like that on the models that aren't the TRD Pro, and hopefully not on the TRD Off-Road, I haven't seen them yet, but it doesn't have the hood scoop, because I want maximum visibility out of the front. And then honestly, this hood looks like a great hood if you're gonna put like a solar panel on the top of it. That's actually perfect for that. And then some other things to cover is I believe it has 3 switches for the inside for auxiliary lighting, and some of that is already ran to the front, so you don't need to run wires to the front of your truck if you're putting another light bar, some Baja Design lights on the front of it or something like that. That's already built in there.